Can Iraq really reduce the value of the US dollar? A deep dive into the central bank's strategy. The Central Bank of Iraq, CBI, has recently made headlines with its announcement that it plans to reduce the value of the US dollar within Iraq in the coming days. This statement has sparked significant debate and speculation. Can Iraq truly influence the value of the US dollar? How will this impact the Iraqi Dinar, IQD, and the economy? And what role does the controversial Delete the Zeros project play in all of this? In this article, we will break down Iraq's strategy, explore the realities of currency valuation, and analyze whether the CBI's plan is feasible. Can Iraq control the value of the US dollar? To answer this question, we need to understand how currency values are determined. The US dollar, USD, is a global reserve currency, meaning its value is influenced by a complex mix of factors such as U.S. Federal Reserve policies, global trade balances, interest rates, investor confidence. Since Iraq does not control these factors, it cannot directly alter the value of the US dollar itself. However, what Iraq can do is manipulate the exchange rate between the Iraqi dinar and the US dollar. This means the CBI's goal is to strengthen the dinar rather than directly devalue the dollar. By strengthening the dinar, Iraq could make it appear that the US dollar is losing value in Iraq. But in reality, this would simply mean that one US dollar buys fewer Iraqi dinars than before. The Delete the Zeros project, a game changer? One of the biggest pieces of Iraq's economic strategy is the Delete the Zeros project, which has been discussed for years. The idea behind this project is to remove 3 zeros from the current dinar denominations. For example, a 1,000 IQD note would be redenominated to 1 IQD. Why would Iraq want to do this? The key motivations behind this project are making transactions easier. Carrying large stacks of currency can be inconvenient for both individuals and businesses, boosting confidence in the dinar. If done correctly, this could increase trust in the Iraqi currency and reduce dependence on the US dollar, increasing the purchasing power of the dinar. Theoretically, a stronger dinar means that goods and services become more affordable for Iraqi citizens. The challenges of removing zeros. While this idea sounds appealing, it is not a simple process. The biggest risks include inflation. If not managed properly, removing zeros could cause rapid inflation, hurting consumers. Public trust issues. If citizens fear that the move will devalue their savings, they may rush to convert their dinars into dollars, causing economic instability. Economic readiness. Iraq needs a stable banking system and economic infrastructure to ensure that this transition is smooth. If Iraq does not implement strong policies to manage this transition, it could lead to severe financial disruption rather than economic stability. The role of oil in Iraq's currency strength. Oil plays a critical role in the strength of the Iraqi dinar. Iraq's economy is heavily dependent on oil exports, meaning any change in oil prices directly impacts its currency value. If oil prices rise, Iraq earns more revenue, which can strengthen the dinar. If oil prices fall, the government may struggle to support the economy, leading to a weaker dinar. A prime example of this was in 2020, when oil prices crashed due to the global pandemic. Iraq's economy suffered, and the government had to take emergency measures to stabilize the dinar. What happens next? Key factors to watch. If you're following Iraq's economic situation closely, here are some key indicators to watch. 1. Oil prices. Since oil is Iraq's main economic driver, fluctuations in oil prices will have a direct impact on the dinar's strength. 2. Inflation rates. If inflation starts rising in Iraq, it could signal economic instability, which
Can Iraq control the value of the US dollar? A deep dive into currency reforms. Hello everyone, and welcome back to IQD to VND. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Our goal is to hit 300 subscribers by the end of March, and with your support, we can make it happen. Today, we're diving into a fascinating and highly debated topic: the Central Bank of Iraq's, CBI, recent efforts to reduce the value of the US dollar in Iraq. This announcement has raised many questions. Can Iraq really control the value of the US dollar? Is it even possible? After all, the US dollar is one of the most powerful currencies in the world. In this video, we will break down what the Central Bank of Iraq can and cannot do when it comes to currency valuation. We'll also explore the long-discussed Delete the Zeros project and its potential impact on Iraq's economy. If you're keen on understanding global financial trends, this is a topic you won't want to miss. The Central Bank of Iraq's announcement recently, the Central Bank of Iraq made headlines by stating its intention to reduce the value of the US dollar within Iraq. At first glance, this might sound like a promising move for those hoping for a stronger Iraqi dinar. However, we need to examine the details to truly understand its implications. Can Iraq control the US dollar's value? One crucial fact to remember is that the Central Bank of Iraq does not control the value of the US dollar. The dollar's strength is determined by the United States through economic policies, interest rates, trade balances, and other global financial factors. So, if Iraq cannot control the dollar itself, how can it influence the exchange rate? The answer lies in strengthening the Iraqi dinar relative to the dollar. By making the dinar stronger, the exchange rate shifts, making it appear as though the dollar is losing value inside Iraq. But in reality, what's happening is the dinar is gaining strength, which could help stabilize the economy. The Delete the Zeros project. One of the major strategies being discussed in Iraq's financial reforms is the Delete the Zeros project. This idea has been on the table for years, and the Central Bank of Iraq has periodically brought it up as a potential solution to improve the country's financial system. What is the Delete the Zeros project? The project involves removing 3 zeros from the Iraqi dinar. For example, a 1,000 dinar note would be redenominated to a 1 dinar note. The main goal behind this initiative is to simplify transactions and make the currency more manageable, ultimately boosting confidence in the dinar. Imagine a scenario where 1 IQD equals 1 USD. Instead of carrying thousands of dinars to equal $1, transactions would be much easier and more practical. This could help stabilize the economy, increase public trust in the currency, and strengthen Iraq's financial standing. The challenges of removing zeros. While this plan sounds promising, executing it is a complex process that requires a stable economic foundation. If not handled carefully, it could lead to inflation, economic instability, and a loss of trust in the dinar. The Central Bank of Iraq must be extremely cautious and transparent in implementing this transition to avoid unintended negative consequences. How will this affect Iraqi citizens? Any changes to currency policies directly impact the daily lives of Iraqi citizens. If the dinar strengthens, imported goods might become cheaper, making foreign products more affordable. However, prices of domestically produced goods could fluctuate as the economy adjusts. On the flip side, if the dinar weakens further, prices could rise, making everyday expenses more costly. This would be particularly challenging for those living on fixed incomes, as even small currency fluctuations can significantly impact their purchasing power. The role of oil in Iraq's economy. One of the most critical factors in Iraq's financial stability is oil. Iraq's economy is heavily dependent on oil revenues, and fluctuations in global oil prices directly impact the value of the dinar. If oil prices rise, Iraq benefits economically, which could help strengthen the dinar. If oil prices fall, Iraq could face financial instability, leading to a weaker dinar. A look back at 2020 provides a clear example of this dynamic. When oil prices crashed during the COVID-19 pandemic, Iraq's economy suffered severely, and the dinar's value was negatively affected. The Central Bank of Iraq had to take emergency measures to stabilize the situation. Today, while Iraq aims to reduce the dominance of the US dollar in its economy, Achieving this goal requires much more than just policy announcements. It demands concrete.
My VA and PDK. Mention an upcoming parliamentary session in Iraq that could further solidify the RV framework. Chapter 6. What happens on December 5th? Currency holders and financial institutions must brace for rapid changes. Exchange procedures. Banks will operate extended hours. Currency holders will require valid identification and proof of currency purchase. International transfers. Cross-border transfer facilities may face bandwidth issues due to high volume. Security measures. Governments are expected to implement heightened anti-fraud checks. Celebrations. Major cities in Iraq and Vietnam are preparing for nationwide celebrations. Currency communities globally plan commemorative events. Chapter 7. Legal, taxation, and compliance considerations. Capital gains. Investors may be subject to local or international capital gains taxes post-RV. Reporting obligations. Currency holders in the U.S. must report exchanges above $10,000 under IRS regulations. Compliance. Financial institutions will enforce anti-money laundering, AML, and Know Your Customer, KYC, protocols. Chapter 8. The bigger picture. Revaluation as a symbol of progress. This RV is not just a financial event. It is a symbol of hope. For Iraq, it marks a rebirth from decades of conflict. For Vietnam, it confirms its rise as a resilient economic powerhouse. For global investors, it signals a shift towards fairer, value-based currency systems. Impacts include emerging market boost, increased investment in Asia and the Middle East, trade realignment, stronger currencies facilitate balanced imports-exports, global trust, renewed confidence in international banking systems. Chapter 9. Preparing for the RV. A checklist. 1. Verify currency authenticity. 2. Organize documentation, receipts, IDs. 3. Consult tax advisors. Research bank and exchange center policies. 5. Join online RV communities. 6. Track daily updates via verified news sources. Chapter 10. Conclusion and call to action. The December 5, 2024 revaluation of the Iraqi Dinar and Vietnamese Dong is more than an economic event. It's a global turning point. Backed by influential leadership, robust financial reforms, and global momentum, this moment offers a once-in-a-generation opportunity. To all currency holders and global observers, stay informed, stay prepared, and stay engaged. We invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel IQD VND News for real-time updates and expert commentary. Like, comment, and share this article to spread awareness. Join our newsletter to receive daily RV insights, exchange tips, and exclusive interviews. Comment below to let us know how you're preparing for the RV. The countdown has begun. Are you ready to witness financial history?